Now, how do you know if she's faking it?
Well, if there's a bunch of cameras in the room and everyone's paycheck depends upon it. No, no. To be fair, a lot of women do orgasm totally naturally and normally on porn sets. It's actually not. There's not as much faking as you would think. It's kind of like 50-50. But how do you tell if she's faking? I would first of all, I'd try to mitigate that from even happening in the first place, because women will fake it when they feel like the man's ego is attached to it. If a woman can get the sense that he is going to be destroyed if he doesn't get me off, if his sexual ego is so tied up in his ability to make her orgasm, that's when she's going to fake it. Women will fake it to please the man. And one of the worst things a guy can say to a woman, and this doesn't come from a place of bad intentions, but during the act of sex, saying things like, "Do you like that?" Because a woman has no choice. When a man says, "Do you like that?" What is she going to say? Women are not going to say, "No, that's trash. You're shit. Stop doing that." Because his dick's going to go soft, and that's going to ruin the sex. So women know that. So a woman is never going to give you, like, if you say to a woman during sex, "Do you like that?" She's always going to say yes. But in the back of her mind, it's probably like, no, you could go a little bit faster, you could go a little bit harder, softer, this way, that way, change the angle a bit. There's some specific feedback, but she doesn't know how to give you those words specifically, right? But by asking that question, do you like that, as a guy, all you're actually doing is putting that pressure on her and actually making it more likely for her to fake an orgasm. Because you're telling her then, in that moment, you're telling her that your ego is somehow, like in some way, wrapped up in your ability to get her off. Even if and that might be the case, which is not necessarily a problem, but you kind of don't want to bring it to her conscious attention and make her, you don't want to put this pressure on a woman to orgasm purely for your enjoyment. It's more like, the ideal scenario is, I know her body better than she does, and I'm going to take her on this wild ride of multiple orgasms just because I find it a fun thing to do. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it happens. I don't have any attachment to this. It's not going to break my ego if it doesn't happen, but it is just a fun ride for us both to go on. Yeah. That's a better frame of mind.
Yeah. I think that also comes with experience. I mean, I have to say, like, when you're young, it's very hard to not go through all of that. I mean, it's almost impossible. And as you get older, and you get more experience, and then you understand. And I think that's also something that happens, like, I've been in very long relationships, and then you get to know your women's body.
Yes.
So, like, on a one night stand, chances of you being able to, like, get her to climax are very, like, I don't know, in your experience of, like...
Because the woman has to feel comfortable with you. Women cannot orgasm unless they're comfortable. That's a real kicker to it. And very often when it's a quick tryst, a one night stand or whatever, there's not anywhere near the comfort level that she has with you as she would if she's been in a long-term relationship with you. So that's absolutely true.
Now, let's say that someone is in a relationship, they have had sex multiple times, but they don't know how to ask for oral sex or for anal sex. I think there's a lot of guys that struggle with that, and it's a very, like, tricky thing.
Right.
What would be your advice for them?
Well, the oral, if she ain't giving you a blowjob, man, divorce that woman. That's my first bit of advice. Dear Lord. It's a very hard question, but I can honestly say in my life, I've never been in a relationship with a woman who didn't give me a blowjob. It just literally never happened to me. So I don't know where these women are roaming around planet Earth who are not giving their partners blowjobs. I don't know who these women are. So, I mean... First of all, I would, if that's not happening, if a woman is not sucking her dude off, I'd probably, if the guy, I'd make sure you ask yourself the question, are you clean? Is your hygiene on point? Is she not going down on you because, there's maybe some hygiene issues down there, like you don't wash your balls?
Some smells or...
Yeah, like maybe, maybe trim the bushes a little bit, like make sure you wash, like, are you a bit obese, like there's flaps coming out of here, like when people get obese and there's lots of fat rolls down there can be lots of bacteria, lots of stink and smell and stuff. So it could just be a hygiene issue. If a dude ain't getting his dick sucked by his wife, maybe first step I would say is take care of your hygiene and then see then see how things adjust to there. The second question I would ask is, does your wife or girlfriend generally find you attractive? Because to me, that's a giant red flag. Honestly, it's a giant red flag. Now, the second question you asked in terms of anal sex, bit more of an extreme example. Not every woman is into this thing, but there are ways that you can approach it as a guy in a safe, respectful way that, you know, you're not pushing a boundary, right? You're just testing to see if you're introducing an experience to her that she might actually end up enjoying. Because a lot of women can actually climax from anal penetration and anal sex, but that does depend upon like the way that her nerve endings are wired. Sometimes they run along the lower part of the vagina, and the anal penetration can trigger a very, very similar kind of orgasm just because of the way they're wired. Hooray for those women. They're lucky. They can have a lot more fun than any other woman. But the way I tell a guy to kind of approach this thing is you would baby step towards it. Because I think just talking about it like outright, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on the woman to like make a decision now. Like it has to be a yes or no when you kind of approach the subject of doing something like a new sex act in that way, rather than, okay, how about I baby step you like a tiny little bit in that direction and we see if you enjoy that. So for example, with anal stuff, it might just be as simple as like you just playing with like running circles around her anus during penetration, like when she's on top of you, reach your hand back and not stick a finger in her asshole or anything like that, just play with the butt like that and see how she responds. Does she enjoy that stimulation? Okay, if she does, cool, that's like a baby step in that direction. And then the next step might be like just the tip of the finger in there and seeing how she responds. And we baby step away a little bit further, right? And there's a few steps between like not doing anal sex to doing penetrative anal sex. There's a lot of baby steps you can put in between there, like small butt plugs, toys, things like this, to see and experiment with it and see how she enjoys it. If she doesn't enjoy it, then we don't do it.
Yeah.
We just stop. We don't go anywhere near that. But she might actually enjoy it, especially if you do it in a very baby stepping kind of way, like you approach it smoothly, safely, comfortably. Because the problem that a lot of like women who've had bad experiences with anal sex, very often it's the dude ramming it in there 100 miles an hour without any lube, without any warm up, without any regard to her comfort, and it's been a very painful experience for her. So of course she's not going to enjoy it. But if a guy was, you know, a gentleman and he had a little bit of tact with it, he might actually find that she could orgasm from it, and she could you've just added a whole nother dimension to your sex life that you two can enjoy together. Whereas before it was just this complete no-go zone because in the past she'd had a bad experience.